Hey guys, welcome back. Now, with the last Bitcoin halving nicely behind us, people are now sat anxiously waiting for when the next epic move will be coming to the crypto market. With now almost 2 months of sideways consolidation, it does feel like the next move could be coming at any time. Now, as we enter one of the most exciting parts of crypto's 4-year cycle, all eyes are wondering when the next breakout will start. And so in this video, we'll be looking at the latest price action and see what it's saying. Then we'll look at the previous cycles to see if we can get an indication of when this next breakout will be coming. And as always, we'll finish with the biggest developments from all around the world in just the past couple of weeks. Okay, so first up, let's take a quick look at the most recent price action and see where could prices be headed next. So, starting with Bitcoin's most recent price action. And what do we see? Well, here is the chart for Bitcoin. And as mentioned at the beginning, we've now almost done 2 months of just sideways consolidation. So, what is going on? Well, my take is that Bitcoin and the crypto market is still digesting the move from the prior 6 months, as people so quickly forget what has just happened. So if we just go back 6 months, you can see the crypto market was around 25,000. And how quickly people forget not long ago we were at these levels. So a monster move, 6 months charging up with the ETFs, the big sell-off. This was one of the biggest moves in crypto's history. And this was just in 2 months, breaking and smashing through the previous all-time high. And then since then, I think crypto is just digesting the move, bouncing between 60,000 and 70,000. Now, similar to prior cycles, which we'll look at in a second, there was a nice little flush out, and the most recent bottom was on the day of the halving, but we're still pretty much trading between this range. Now, every now and again, it's good to step out of the crypto market and see what's going on in the bigger picture. So today we're going to take a very quick look and see what's been happening with the S&P 500. This is one of the major markets to keep an eye on. And most recently, it had had a great run so far this year, but it has been going through a correction. Now, an official correction is a breakdown of over 10%. So let's just get a quick measure. And from top to bottom, this one was only 6%. So actually, it's not that bad. And on average, markets will go through a correction every single year. And so we do need to keep an eye on this trend and see if it breaks lower. And the other major market is the Nasdaq. And again, this is a very similar pattern. It's had a very good year so far. And what has been the drawdown so far? This one is approximately 8%. So again, even tech stocks haven't corrected past 10%. So really, this just says to me that the next 1 to 2 weeks is really going to show which direction markets are going to break. Now, let's just take a quick look at seasonality for crypto. And last time we looked at this, the major talking point was that Bitcoin had set a new record, and that was 7 green months in a row, starting from September last year. We had the first green month, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, a monster February, and then even March, almost 17%. So this is where we are with seasonality, and it's the first red month in 7 months. So if anything, this is perfectly normal, and we were overdue a correction. So this says to me that the crypto market for the prior 6 months has given investors epic returns, and as of right now, taking a breather month looks like we're still perfectly on track. Now, something I like to keep track on every couple of weeks is see how this cycle is progressing against the previous ones. So blue cycle being the first one, next 4-year cycle being orange, followed by green, and this has now turned into red. And we've just hit this line going through the middle, which is the center point and pivotal point of this chart, which is the halving. And first thing to note is that it's still ahead of all 3 prior cycles. So I think because of the ETFs, it has brought forward a bit of the demand, but it's sitting very, very strong. So the big question everyone wants to know is, when do we get these next epic moves that crypto is famous for? Well, let's just compare and see what's previously happened. Now, with the first cycle, this was the halving here, and it did go up for a little bit, but then it went sideways for about 1 month. So the explosion never happened on the halving. There was always a delay, and halving number 1 was 1 month. Now, cycle number 2, and this one is such a similar pattern to what's been going on right now. A huge move beforehand, a nice correction, but as of right now, we are ahead. Now, in this cycle, what happened is that, again, there was sideways action, and this went on for about 2 weeks. However, in this cycle, there was a big flush out, a final scare to shake out all the people who thought that the halving wasn't going to make any impact, and that marked the local bottom before an insane rally then occurred. So this time people had to wait about 2 weeks after the halving, and then third and final, this was the one most recently gone. After the crazy COVID crash and recovery, you can see we are way ahead of this cycle when it comes to gains. And what happened this time was 2 interesting things. The first one was there was a big flush on the day of the halving, and this actually marked the local bottom before it started taking off. So it was actually on the day of the halving, which turned out to be a great time to buy, obviously not including the crazy drop of COVID. And the second thing was that after it recovered, again, there was a lot of sideways action after the halving. And this went on for a long time last cycle. There's a downward trend of sideways consolidation, but it was fading down for almost 2 months. So again, this one really tested investors. People were thinking that the halving hasn't made a difference. It faded down, and it was 2 months after where the next major breakout occurred. So if we summarize these, 1 cycle, it was 2 weeks. 1 cycle, it was 1 month. And the last cycle was 2 months. So on average, it's about 1 month after. So we're getting really, really close to the most exciting part in crypto. Will history repeat? Now, before we go on to the biggest developments, this is a very good picture to etch into your brain, that even in the biggest runs in crypto, it's not a straight line up. Now, the 2017 run saw Bitcoin correcting. There's a 50% correction, 40%, 40%, 40%. Now, we are 1 cycle further on, so I would say that Bitcoin likely isn't going to be correcting this harshly this time around. You'll probably see 10%, 20%, maybe 30% at its worst. However, if you are holding altcoins, then this is a very likely scenario. You're probably going to see 40 to 50% corrections multiple times if in fact we do go into a major crypto rally. It's just human nature that after epic runs up, there's going to be harsh corrections. So the Bitcoin picture of 2017 is actually probably what altcoins are going to have to go through in 2024. Just something to bear in mind. So, one of the biggest trends that I've seen over the past couple of weeks is that there's been company after company turning into mini Michael Saylors and putting Bitcoin on their corporate balance sheet. Instead of keeping their money in US dollars, they're deciding to use Bitcoin as a treasury asset. And this is a cattle company in the US. This one was a budget hotel operator. So someone in the hotel business putting Bitcoin on the balance sheet as well. And I won't put them all down, but there's been many companies. I think after Michael Saylor has been doing presentations to corporations, this is one of the biggest trends that I've been seeing. Now, Coinbase did get a nice win in the courts recently. Now, this wasn't the major lawsuit between Coinbase and the SEC. This was just a minor one where I think a few people in the US were trying to take advantage of the regulatory uncertainty, saying that Coinbase had sold them unregistered securities. And the court's ruling was that cryptos on Coinbase were not securities. So although this was a much smaller court case, the fact that you had a ruling saying that cryptos on Coinbase were not securities is actually really, really good for the main Coinbase case. Then over in Germany, we saw not just a regular bank, but the largest federal bank being able to offer crypto custody, partnering with Bitpanda. And this is a trend that I've just seen again and again. And if you've followed these videos, you'll have also seen it, that banks are scrambling to get on board to be able to offer crypto custody. It's going to be a major trend over the coming years. Another major trend is that after the massive success of the Bitcoin ETFs in the US, other places around the world are starting to do the same. And this time, Hong Kong has approved the first Bitcoin and Ethereum ETFs, and these are set to go live at the end of this month. Recently, we saw the same with the UK. The London Stock Exchange will be approving Bitcoin and Ethereum ETFs the month after, and we think the same thing is coming from South Korea. So this is another trend. Now, after Grayscale's massive 1.5 fee in their Bitcoin trust, Grayscale has now lost half of its assets under management. People have been selling up and getting out of Grayscale. So now that it's reached 50%, I think their plan now is to convert and try to get people in a new mini Bitcoin ETF. They're going to slash the fee to just 0.15%, and this will then be the lowest fee. And the great thing about this is that investors will be able to convert from the main trust into this low fee trust without paying capital gains tax penalties. So that's really good. I think they're now scrambling to keep their last 50% of assets under management. Recently, we saw that Sam Altman of OpenAI, and obviously he is one of the biggest pioneers in AI right now. And if you didn't know, he launched WorldCoin. And WorldCoin was the controversial crypto where people will be scanning their eyeball. And in a world of AI, he's trying to get the human race verified on a blockchain. Well, most recently, he's now revealed he's going to be launching a layer 2, putting his WorldCoin on a world chain. And he's going to be integrating using optimism to make it super easy, fast, and cheap. And finally, just reiterating, this was a piece from last month, but I think it went really under people's radar. And it was the fact that BlackRock was able to launch a tokenized treasury fund on Ethereum. And the fact that the SEC had allowed this to go ahead to tokenize bonds is actually massive. This is what's been happening. So this is the landscape of tokenized government securities. And it's now, with the help of BlackRock, it's now over $1 billion. So tokenizing the bond market is actually a massive, massive milestone. And then hitting the press right now, this is breaking as we speak. Hedera's H-bar had pumped almost 100% overnight with a misinterpreted BlackRock announcement. So H-bar had said, and was a bit misleading, saying that they had partnered with BlackRock, when in fact they just integrated one of their products with BlackRock and called it a partnership. So this is developing as we speak, but I don't think BlackRock themselves had any involvement in this partnership. So we'll see how this one plays out. Recently, the S&P and Nasdaq have been going through a mild correction, and we do need to keep an eye on how this plays out. Bitcoin has now been going sideways for about 2 months, and I think it's still digesting the epic move from around 25,000 all the way back to new all-time highs. Seasonality says that the crypto market was well overdue a down month after a record 7 green months in a row. The big crypto developments from around the world keep coming in, and some major trends where more and more corporations adding Bitcoin to the corporate balance sheet, and also Bitcoin and Ethereum ETFs starting to go live all around the world. And if history repeats, then it's about 1 month after the halving. This is when the crypto market begins to break out and take its next trip to the moon. And so finally, we're all going to know pretty soon whether history will be repeating, and we get some life-changing gains over the coming months. So there you are, guys. Hope you enjoyed. Now let me know your thoughts and comments below. However, just remember to get rid of 100% of the comment spam and trading bots that plague YouTube comments. We are trying out the new SuperThanks Commenting system. So to get your question or comment read and replied to, or just to say thanks, then use SuperThanks below. And for now, all to say, if you did enjoy anything in the video, then drop a like, and a big thank you to everyone who does, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye for now.